And we're back. So we're going to continue with our discussion about kind of toy etiquette, and this section is going to be about collector to collector etiquette. So what you should and shouldn't do
with your peers.
With people who are in the same kind of hobby as you. You know, faux pas that if you're getting into the hobby, someone who's new may not know, may not be well received by because you are entering a community of people who know each other, and there are kind of social norms that will really affect your experience.
And it's funny too, because if you go to most message boards, they'll have like stickies at the top, rules and regulations. Nobody reads those ever. They should. But nobody ever does. Yep. So we're here to tell you live in person.
They just want to jump right in and
and they vary from board to board too. Some things are cool in some places, some aren't in others. So basically, some of the stuff we're going to talk about is not really set in stone. These are certainly our opinions. If you've got other ideas, feel free to leave comments or whatever, and we can think about it more. Because sometimes people see things from a different perspective that you hadn't considered before.
Right. And these are by no means rules for participating in CollectionDX in our community. These are just things that
or anything.
Yeah, these are things we've just observed through our years of collecting and being part of different forums, different sites, and So you wanted to bring up a couple.
Well, this is the big one on most sites. If you go to message boards, do not post live auctions. I know you think you're helping people, but it generally makes people really, really angry. The reason for that is because a lot of people put in a lot of work, a lot of time trying to find toys online that are being maybe mislabeled. They're not going to be seen, so they'll go for a cheaper price. When you put it online, you're basically telling the world about what that person found, and you're negating all the hard work they've done. Well, people a lot of times will say, well, I'm just trying to help out. And that's admirable, but you should do it privately. Wouldn't you all agree? Maybe an email, a private message, or whatever.
I mean, there's a certain. I mean, I think I pissed off some people when I first put up my auction links.
Yeah.
Because it really opened the door. But but do you find it useful now? Right?
No.
You know, it still pisses you off.
Because I do it myself.
Yeah.
Yes. That's another thing that we've talked about, at least me and other people. That there's a certain amount of, for me anyway, I feel like if I'm doing all the work, that I shouldn't have my work undermined by somebody who didn't do the work.
True.
Who's kind of too lazy to do it themselves.
Right.
You know.
And my attitude has been, the one of the things that I built CDX on is kind of this exchange of information. But I've come to understand and appreciate the stance that of the not posting auctions.
Yeah.
So like I have a lot of auction terms and phrases that that I keep to myself that I don't put on that list.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. And people may not notice this, but sometimes I will subtly put things out there that, like, I'm not going to tell you this is how to do it, but the information's there if you just think about it in the right way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I probably shouldn't say this now, but like most of our reviews that have Japanese names have Japanese characters.
Yeah. How do you get them?
You use them. You know. So, but we're not telling you, like, in the review, oh yeah, by the way, here's how you go, but
Sure.
Just think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm not a huge fan of doing that. But I can see both sides of it. You do want to help people. You don't want to.
I think there's a certain amount of it that is fostering interest, and it helps, because you don't want everyone to be like. I mean, I like the openness where I can introduce people to things and help them grow in their collections and help them find new things. I think there is a benefit to that.
But you don't want to do it if there's like 4 of these things out there in the world that you know of.
Right.
You don't want to get 400 people looking for it, you know, because that hurts your chances big time.
So with the live auction thing, I 100% agree, and that goes across all auction platforms. Yeah. So we're not just talking about like I'll post this link to Yahoo Japan because I don't think anybody's going over there. It's okay because it's Yahoo Japan. No.
That's even worse. The more obscure it is,
way worse.
The less you want to tell everybody about it.
At the same time, as a sort of a newer collector to certain stuff, I think the CDX auction links are an invaluable resource. I can guarantee I never would have purchased or even found to purchase 3/4 of the most recent stuff that I have. I wouldn't know how to find it. And I mean, you say, go do the research.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's tough.
For sure.
For new people coming in, they don't know where to do the research.
And in a sense, things like that I hope have helped you know, the people who want to be there will do it anyways, I think. But yeah, it just makes your transition into it, I think, a little more easy, a little more welcoming. But without, you know, I still don't show you how to bid. You know, like,
Right,
still, like,
yeah,
once you get there, what do you do? Well, the casual person is just gonna,
look at
whatever.
pictures and be happy.
Yeah. So if you really want to go that extra mile, you know, I'm not, I'm not helping you buy the thing, you know.
It's still on you to actually figure out what you're doing.
Right.
But I mean, finding the stuff is 3/4 of it. So.
Yeah, and that opens up. I mean, once you start looking through those listings and you see those
That's a disaster.
pictures, yeah,
You're done.
I hate it when Dave sends me stuff. I mean, I love it, but I hate it because not only do I look at the thing he sends me,
You look at
but I
all
also
four
look
others.
at where he was looking. Like I look at the URL path and I say, "Oh, I didn't think to look in that category," and I click on it and I look at and then half my day's gone.
Yeah, right.
You know, half my day's in $500.
The other thing about posting live auctions is people will go to a message board, and message boards are generally communities, and you think, well, these are all people that I know, and I feel good about posting. But you've got to remember the lurker. There are lots of people out there who do not post.
Yeah,
you have a lot of money, and you're telling the world. You're not telling just the people on that message board. So you may find somebody on that message board who wants what you posted, but you may have told somebody who's going to outbid them. So you've screwed your friend, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and to really spell it out, I mean, it really just drives up prices. I mean, it is a free market. That's fine when people want to bid, but it can be you kind of ruining the chances of getting some really good deals amongst your for yourself and that's kind of about another thing when you talk about bidding against friends.
Yeah.
What's the etiquette? How do you perceive the etiquette with bidding against friends?
I don't do it.
Okay. What do you define as a friend?
I have to at least have had a running email or some sort of relationship with them for a few years.
Yeah.
Bearing that, I have to have at least spoken to them on the phone or met them. Just because I'm a part of a message board doesn't mean that everybody on that message board is my friend.
Yeah.
So
That's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. But I certainly try not to do that. I know a lot of people that when I see something, I contact them. We'll basically just say, well, who wants it more?
Yeah, you really that interested in it?
So how does that work? You don't call dibs, obviously. If it's something you're both after. I mean, if Garrett and K7 shows up,
well, see, that
are you gonna fight?
It's funny you brought that up because that's one of the things that did come up. When it did come up initially, it was poorly mislabeled. I happened to find it, and I made the seller an offer to see if they'd enter it early. Wouldn't do it. Somebody else asked about it online, and I realized I wasn't going to have a chance to get it. So I called my other friend who was looking for it forever, and then we talked about it and basically said, well, who's going to bid on it? So at this point, you kind of have to trust that everybody's going to be honest.
It's almost like an offline auction. Like, really, what can you put towards this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you have to trust that the other person's going to be honest about it. I told him what I could bid. He told me what he could bid. His number was higher. So I said, all right, well, I'm not going to bid then.
Yeah.
And at that point, he asked me, he said, well, what if it ends real low? And I win. He's like, are you going to be okay with that? And I paused, and I was like, I don't know. That's like, it's going to drive me nuts. But I thought about it again, like, he's going to outbid me anyway. So I can either cost him a lot of money by placing my bid, or I can just step aside.
That's one of those small victories when you screw.
Well, no.
Depends on how good of friends you are.
Well, see, that's the thing, too. At the time, anyway, obviously I didn't tell him about the auction. He wanted the toy. So, but I was going for it first. I was like, me first, so I found it. So in a way, I kind of did call dibs. But once I thought I couldn't get it...
Through inaction more than action.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't screw him over. You
right.
just, kept it under your belt there.
Yeah.
So in the same tip, what do you do if you find an auction that has, it hasn't been found yet? But you usually don't throw your chips down too early. You watch it and you see what it's going to do. And then someone throws a bid down on it. Like, well, I was thinking of going for that, but he's going for it. I'm like, so now do I, maybe I had a snipe in or something. Now I have to go cancel the snipe, or like it's a tough thing to be in, Like, if you're into the hobby for a while, you kind of know who has deeper pockets than who, And sometimes you just go, oh, that guy's dealing with it. I know they're just going to bid it out to infinity, and I'm, whatever. I'll wait for the next one.
Yeah. Well, I often try to consider whose collection it will fit in better. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting.
Like take for instance, like that Dairaga Junior Mishinder.
Yeah.
Blow molded, piece of crap. You would think I would have it, and I used to have it. But after a while, it's like, you know what? Josh is a Dairaga guy. He needs this toy. As much as I want one, and another one comes up, please let me know. But it kind of belonged in his collection more than mine. So at some point, I think we traded for the Kitty Fire or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. But the point was to kind of move it over to his as opposed to mine. And I'll do that sometimes too. When I see somebody who something comes up, I want it, but it's a vinyl, so
I know this guy was really looking for that.
Yeah, or if it'll just look better, even if it's not a huge deal. It'll look better in his collection than mine. Like if a Dairaga jumbo machine there would turn up, of course he would let me have that.
Yes.
Well, does the conversation ever come up when you're discussing amongst people are going to want it? Well, I let you get the last one, so you should let me get this one, or does it come down to just taking turns, or?
No, I think it generally depends on what that person collects, because we know so many different people in the hobby that, like for instance, I consider you a friend. But we're probably never going to bid against each other, are we?
It's unlikely.
It's not going to happen. So it's not really an issue. There are usually very few people where it comes up with. Like I collect monster stuff too. I don't bid against my monster friends because they collect monster stuff.
So if Frankenstein is bidding on a 10 toy, you won't bid against Frankenstein or the Wolfman.
No.
Right.
That's probably a good bet.
Yeah. My monster friends. Took me a minute to get what you were talking about.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Cool. See what you did there.
Outbid! Sniped!
Again, Frankenstein.
Oh, the bastard did it again!
Oh,
I
boy.
can only bid at night. So,
okay, well here's another one
Yeah.
that we mentioned before. And this is one that we're maybe a little divided on. Somebody puts up collection pictures. You see something in their collection that you've always wanted. Is it cool to ask them if they'd be interested to sell it?
I think the big thing with that is you need to kind of maybe get to know them, ask them. It's like, well, what do you feel about that piece? Do you feel like you need it?
You gotta butter them up.
I always put it like, if you were ever thinking of getting rid of that piece, let me know first.
Yeah.
Not, do you want to sell it? I don't want to. I don't want it.
It's all in the wording.
Yeah. If you want, I don't want to just say, sell me that piece. So that comes across like, it's like, when you're done with that piece, I would like to be first in line to receive that piece.
Get the sloppy
And I find
seconds.
that works out. Because it expresses your interest in it, gets the person's mind going. And then so when it comes to a point that there's a big purchase that they want to make and they want to move some stuff, they're like, oh.
Yeah.
I know Josh wanted that piece. I could sell that to him and make.
Do you think it's cool to offer even a ballpark dollar amount that you would be willing to pay for it? That way, it's in the back of their mind.
Nah, I never do that.
That seems like you're getting a little too.
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah, no, I never do. I just say
I don't mind that as long as the offer is a fair offer. If you try to lowball somebody, obviously that's.
No, I usually just say, let me know. When you're ready of it. So, and the situation of it comes up, I just say, let me know what you want for it, and if I can do that, I'll do it. And if I can't, I'm saying, I can't really do it right now.
Right.
And I've often had situations where, because I have relationships with people where they've said, you know what, take the piece, and when you get the money, you can pay me back.
Right.
So it kind of works out for the best in that respect. I've never had anybody outright. Well, no, I can't say never, because there are people that have gone to CollectionDX and found a piece and said,
We get it all the time.
can I buy this?
Yeah.
And I think that's different than just seeing a picture in your collection.
Right.
I mean, because my site is confused all the time for a shopping site.
Mm-hmm.
People think this is the item for sale. They know it has prices on it, this and that.
I never thought of that. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it happens a lot. But
that's why we started talking about it, me and Mason, because I got an offer for my Jeeg Junior machine there from a guy in Italy.
Yeah.
He just asked me if I'd be willing to sell it. Offered me a euro amount. It was a fair offer. Very fair. I told him I didn't want to sell it, and he was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I think it's cool to be aggressive, to try to find the stuff you want. Sometimes people, you never know what they're thinking. What's going on. Maybe that they need money right then and there.
Most of my the people who ask me about buying things, the emails are like, "Hi, I look for a Michael Jackson doll. Do you sell? Please reply." Just because they just did some Google search and I had a news item of a Hot Toys Michael Jackson, and I'll send this guy an email. Yeah.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff that I normally get.
Yeah. See, I look at it both ways though. When I get an offer like that from somebody, especially if it's in a country like Italy where I collect stuff, I say, no thanks, I'm not really interested in selling it. Do you have any? Turn it back on them. Maybe you can get something from them. Maybe you can work out a trade. So I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing.
Do you ever, another positive thing that may come from it is that, do you ever find that when you get an offer for someone to buy something, it makes you sit and reevaluate what the item is really worth? You ever find that you had something that you didn't think was worth much of anything, and you get an offer on it, and then you look and go, oh, geez, I didn't know these were going for that now.
Yeah. I can't say I've had that happen, to be honest with you. I've sold a couple of things on eBay that it went for more than I thought, but never.
I sold a Digimon toy, okay? That I sold for $15 to some guy who emailed me. And I didn't think anything of it, and I sold it to him, and I looked on eBay. It's like $150. It's some
really?
stupid rare Digimon toy. And I'm like,
God damn it.
ugh. I had no idea. I just thought it was cool looking.
Yeah.
So now every time someone asks me, I kind of go, all right. So has this piece gone up in value? And you get the weird email. Like I think I sold a front mission figure that I didn't think was apparently is rare, and like right out of the bat it was like $150 he wanted to give me for it. I'm like, dude, take it. I mean,
You're just throwing it across the room.
I was about to use that as a prop in my Gallagher tribute show,
Nice. Mm-hmm. So is there anything else that you guys come across that maybe annoys you a bit, that you think maybe people shouldn't do, or anything like that we haven't covered yet?
Flipping.
There you go. Yeah.
Flipping.
What's flipping?
Well, I'm glad you asked. This has been.
Yeah. There's an interesting phenomenon in collection communities where people who aren't necessarily big collectors look at all these people with all of their whatever it is, and they're spending exorbitant amounts of money on it, and they're thinking, I bet I can sell to these people. So they're some kind of message board lurking degenerate, and they'll just troll around for a while and sort of feel out the trends and see what's out there, and then they'll post, a forum post for a wanted listing. Hi, I'm new, I'm trying to get into this stuff, and I'd like to get one or two things for cheap to see if I like it, and before you know it, that thing, if someone sells it to them, is up on eBay with buy it now $500 or 300% of whatever they bought it for, or its value. And all that guy's in it for is to make money off of it.
So it sounds
he's got no interest in the toy.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're more upset with the phoniness as opposed to the actual profiting. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I guess too. It's a dishonest thing to be doing.
Well, I think there are certain collecting genres that are more insulted by this than others because of their tendency to be more personalized items. Mm-hmm. You have vinyl pieces that are like one-off paints that people kind of don't want to part with sometimes, and I think you get a sob story or you think someone's really into it, you cut them a bro price deal, and then it hurts to see the next week that thing that you just kind of let go because you thought it was going to somebody who really wanted this thing.
Yeah, you basically got duped.
Yeah,
and you feel like
that sucks.
It sucks. Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, that's the dishonesty part. I don't mind people who are, I guess, in it for the money because it's an expensive hobby in a lot of ways. So kind of one hand washes the other. It doesn't hurt to flip things occasionally, make a few bucks to buy.
But the transparency should be there.
Yeah,
right. I mean, if you post an auction, and you're just like, I got to get rid of something to pay for something. You're not going to start it for $1,000 and expect it to just go up and up. You're going to post it for something low, and when it goes to whatever it's going to go to, that's great. It's gravy. It's the goal. Your goal is not to just get things to make money.
Right.
Is there a time frame that negates flipping?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
So say I buy something and I really want it.
You have to wait.
And I keep it for 6 months, and then I sell it. That's probably not considered flipping.
No, but
if I buy something and then 2 weeks later it's on eBay, people consider that flipping.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it would have to be very visible to that person. It would have to be.
That's true.
But the type of items that we're talking about here tend to be very closely watched by people, so they'll know when they go up.
Right.
If you've got a Mark Nagata hand-painted thing with Dream Rocket that, kind of like there was 5 made, people kind of watch out for that stuff, and they're going to see when that goes back up, It's not like people selling them on Craigslist.
At the same time, there's a difference there where I see a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with this, where you buy something you want, and you get it, and you're not really feeling it. You're just like, this is kind of underwhelming.
Look better in pictures, and
yeah, now I don't really need it, and I feel like I spent a lot.
But
if that person sells it, I mean, whatever's going to happen with the price, it depends on if they put it on eBay for a bunch and think they're just going to turn it around, or if they go back to their message board and they just give it back to the community, to someone else they know is going to appreciate it for the cost they paid or something. It's different, and I mean, even if 6 months down the line you realize you're kind of bored of a thing, are you going to put it on eBay for $1 gazillion and expect to make big bucks, or are you going to just sell it back to someone else you know is going to appreciate it? And then you're going to be mad when that guy sells it.
Yeah. That's the thing. To me, it would depend on how much it was going for on the open market. I mean,
well,
if it's significantly more than
right,
then I'm going for the money.
Yeah, I mean, without just being... Yeah, you're going to take advantage of what is the situation. There's nothing wrong with that because you're all going to do it. I mean, it'll even out. But if all you're doing is buying toys to sell, that's lame. You don't want toys.
Like I said, as long as you're being honest about it, I don't mind, because that's just a business as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, if you're going to turn into a retailer or a guy that hooks people up with stuff, that's totally different.
But like you said, that saying that you love it and you don't kind of thing.
Yeah, if you're going to lie about it, you suck.
Yeah.
That's it.
Don't suck.
Yeah. Rule number, what are we on?
Don't
5?
be a lord of suck.
That's right. What else do we have? Any other ideas? We talked about sellers to sellers.
Well, that thing, we were talking about selling things and all this stuff. One of the things that's been kind of a hot topic recently on Toy Box was asking about value.
True.
If you're a little too obsessed with value, that kind of puts people off, especially if you're new to a community.
Or if you only come to a community
to
sell or to sell.
Yeah.
There's some people that I only see. I don't want to name names, but we know. Yeah, that all they do is they, maybe a week they'll come in and say, "Does anyone know what this thing is going for?" And then it's like the next week later, it's in the sale thread, at a little bit higher than that price, and it's like
you basically did all the footwork for that guy, so he can turn around and sell you what you're wearing.
So it's always tough when you get those what is this worth?
With that you can just say to them go check eBay.
Yeah,
that's really all I have to do.
And I don't. Do you get the emails do you get value emails from people through CDX? Do anyone ever ask you I've got one of these. What is it? What is it worth?
I got one on the Telco Creature, the 24-inch motionette. Some guy asked me about that, but I think that's the only one I've got.
I get those a lot. I get them. I have these. I found these in my attic, and they'll attach pitches and what
actually
you think
got one
it's
with a Rodan too. I can't remember if you forwarded that to me.
I might have forwarded it. So I mean,
and happily the guy.
This is not so much an etiquette thing, but do you, because there's an opportunity there for you to be a real douchebag, and say oh yeah, I mean you gotta have the right kind of person, I guess, run the receiving end of this, but you could just say it's not really worth much of anything, and then try to acquire the item for yourself,
right?
Because ultimately the person's looking for the value to put it on eBay. Maybe there's an opportunity to get it. I remember there was somebody with a Macanda that happened once, but he emailed a bunch of different sites, so it wasn't just so. And then everyone lost their mind and went up on eBay. Yeah. But of course, everyone went oh, what do you do? Do you tell them it's really valuable, or do you just say, oh, it's worth a couple $100, I'll buy it off you, that kind of thing. It's a weird thing. So and also plus once people here's an interesting one. Not so about these things, but in general. But when people know that you are a toy collector, do you ever have can I bring this over and you can tell me if it's worth anything? Do you ever get that?
That I've never had. No.
I've had that happen to me.
Really?
My wife's friends, their husbands will I had one guy bring over this box of his Star Wars stuff when he was a kid. And it had a Millennium Falcon in it, and this shit was just beat to hell. And he was kind of hoping he was sitting on a gold mine.
Yeah. No.
And I'm like, dude,
Actually, you know what? I lied. That did happen to me one time, but it wasn't toys. It was comics.
Okay.
It was the 90s, and it was a box full of Image. And it was exactly what you're saying.
The
guy thought he was
going
to retire, and I was like, dude, sorry. But
Yeah.
Dude, it's Image.
Image Comics.
Nothing,
You can take that thing right out of the poly bag.
And I literally told him, it wasn't a situation where I was like, well, I'm going to tell him low and then buy them. I was like, don't even leave these at my house. Get out.
Yeah.
But that, you made me think of something else too. outside of eBay and stuff, you will see private sales. And one thing I don't like to do is I don't like to lowball people. I like to try to, like, somebody says, well, you know, make me an offer.
Yeah.
Make a fair offer. You know, don't screw around with it.
I have a hard time.
Your head? Do you disagree?
I have a hard time making offers.
No.
Yeah,
I always
okay.
have to. So I have to just say, tell me what you want for it.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better asking them what they're expecting and then going
Yeah.
from there. Because, I mean, half the time, I won't know anyway.
Yeah, and I'm a
So,
hobo.
I
You
don't
know,
wanna
I
act
can be a
at
real
them.
hobo
So I
sometimes. really.
definitely try to gauge it.
Well, see, there's something different between making a hobo offer because you're trying to get it cheaper than it's worth, and there you can also say, I know it's worth more than this, but this is all I can afford.
True.
That's fine. I
True.
don't have a problem with that. But if you can afford $500 and you offer $100, and it's worth $500, you know, don't do that.
I mean, at the same time, Mark Nagata has this whole thing with toy karma.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if you act alright in the community, you like to think that it's going to come back to you. So if you don't lowball that guy,
Yeah.
maybe you'll get a deal from some
Yeah.
other guy on
Right.
something down the line. You don't want to burn all your bridges.
Well, one of
Yeah.
the benefits of the kind of the personal aspect of this community is, you know, what everyone calls the bro prices. You know, give
Yeah.
your bro price. You know, and that's basically saying, I know what the market value of this is, but I'm not going to charge you that. I basically want to get what I
Yeah.
paid for it. You know,
Yeah.
and you know,
and you know it's going to another
Yeah.
collector.
That's what
Right.
I say. Sometimes even less than you paid, but I want it to go to you.
Right.
As
Right.
opposed to whoever.
exactly, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier. You know, I've sold things and been on the receiving end of that, and it's really wonderful. I think it helps you make friends, it helps you make trust, and you know, and it keps you off of eBay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because eBay is
You get a lot of problems there.
yeah, and that's once again another topic for another day.
Yeah, really. That's
Yeah.
man.
We just diagrammed Josh's relationship with eBay down.
Member since
I was gonna
1998.
say you got pretty high feedback, man. You must have been doing quite a while.
I've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a while too. I'm still at like 400 something.
Now I'm like what 11.
That's another thing. While we're on the topic of of etiquette, leave people feedback. Damn it, you know I can't tell you how many times that I've bought something and usually the seller, they don't give a rat's ass. As long as they get theirs, they don't give it back. And I know there was a thread about this on Toy Box with John Paris, if I remember right, and everybody jumped down his throat for leaving basically a retaliatory negative. But I almost agree with him. It just drives me nuts. Take the 2 seconds to do it. You know.
Certain places don't like feedback. They feel that they should be a self-moderating community.
Really.
It's over it.
Huh.
They will not allow anyone to develop a feedback system.
Really.
But they're such an insular community that they sort of... I mean, I've talked to guys in PMs over there, and they've basically been like, you know, if you screw someone over here, we're just going to come to your house and kick the shit out of you. So, that's their feedback.
Remember, kids, they're toys.
Yeah, it depends on how serious you're going to be.
Yeah.
You'll notice at the beginning of this, he said community and not scene. That's another thing.
There you go.
We
Yeah.
sort of touched on this earlier.
Yeah.
You gotta know what you're in it for.
Well, the guy who's the flipper, he's in the scene. He's not in the community.
Exactly.
basically. Yeah.
And I mean, the people who actually like the stuff, it's not a scene.
Yeah.
It's a community. You're talking to your peers about something you are all passionate about together.
Yeah.
Completely different from wanting to come in.
So I think that's a good topic for another show: scene versus community, and what the difference is between the two, and what you should join, depending on what you're looking for
Yeah.
out of toys. So
We're gonna lean towards community though.
yeah, we're decidedly biased. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Hope you enjoyed.